Hi, everybody. This session is on advising. So this is a very important component of your time here at CSUSB. It's really important to use the advising tools that are available to you at the departmental, college, and university level. And it's also really important to get advising throughout your time here, to meet with the college advisor, to meet with faculty. It's the best way to stay on track. Make sure you're taking what you need to be taking so that you can graduate on time and so that you have a plan for what comes next after your graduation. Everyone who earns a bachelor's degree needs to do two kinds of requirements. One, they need to do general education requirements, and they also need to do major requirements. So on this slide, I'm going to talk about general education requirements, and then the majority of this presentation is going to focus on major requirements and how you can make sure that you're taking the things that you're supposed to be taking. But in terms of general education requirements, this is kind of like a little bit of a high school redo, but at the college level. So you're going to be taking courses in math, English, science, social science, and the arts. And part of this is to extend the information that you learned while you were in high school, but it's also to give you the opportunity to learn about subjects other than the major you've chosen. This can be really helpful because sometimes you might take a course and realize that you would prefer to be in a different major, or you can learn about a minor that you might be interested in pursuing. So it's a good idea to take these classes along with taking courses required for your major to, one, make sure that you have a great breadth of information, but also to make sure that you have chosen the right thing. I also wanted to note here that some of the courses that you're going to be taking for your major, some of your child, adolescent, and family studies courses, will also count for your general education requirements. So if you look down at the bottom right of this slide, you can see that your CAFS 2205 course is going to cover the general education requirement to have a diversity and inclusiveness designation course. The CAFS 2240, Introduction to Child Development, covers one of the main areas of general education, so it covers Area 4. And then CAFS 4498, which is our Advanced Human Development course, it covers one of your required writing intensive designation courses. So as you're doing your major, you're also going to be applying some of those courses to your general ed requirements along with the other general education requirements that you need to do. So as I said on the previous slide, you're going to take courses that apply to your major in addition to taking general education courses. So everyone in the CAFS major takes a set of core courses. So everyone in the major, regardless of which concentration they are, is going to take certain courses in common. And then you're also going to have major requirement courses that are specific to the concentration that you choose. And remember, we have two concentrations. We have the early childhood development concentration, and we have the child and adolescent development concentration. So in your major, you're going to be taking core courses for all CAFS majors, and you're also going to be taking courses specific to your concentration, either early childhood development or child and adolescent development. And you can find information about those concentrations, the core courses and the concentration courses, at the two links provided on this page. It's important to note that some of our courses have to be taken in a particular order. So almost all of the courses have prerequisites that you need to be aware of. So you can find prerequisites either on the roadmaps, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, or in the university course bulletin, which lists all the courses in the entire university. So you always want to pay attention to what the prerequisites for any course are. Sometimes if you go to enroll in a course and you can't get in, it may be because you haven't completed the prerequisite yet. But it's also important to know that in addition to a prerequisite for a course, some courses on our major must be taken in a specific order, and you have to take one course before the next, so you can't skip those prerequisites. And this is really important to pay attention to because at the end of your degree program, you're going to be doing an internship course or an advanced practicum. And if you haven't completed the required sequence of prerequisite courses, you won't be able to enroll in that course, and that may delay your graduation. So very important to pay attention to these courses that you must take in order and only happen particular times of the year. So on this first slide, and then I'll show you some of the sequence of courses, and on the next slide, I'll show you the rest of the sequence of courses. So both early childhood development and child and adolescent development folks, it doesn't matter which concentration you've chosen, everybody needs to do Introduction to Child Development, or CAFS 2240 first. This is offered both in the fall and the spring. Then you either need to take your observation methodology course. That needs to be taken at the same time that you take Introduction to Child Development or right after, and that would be choices of 2244, 2245, 2246, and 2247. So you can see that 2244 and 45 are for early childhood development concentration majors, 2246 and 47 are child and adolescent development concentration majors, 2244 and 2246 are offered in the fall, and 2245 and 2247 are offered in the spring. The next set of courses that must be taken in order, so these come after the courses on the previous slide. So they come after CAFS 2240 and after you've taken an observation methodology course. So that was CAFS 2244, 45, 46, or 47. So once you have those courses done, then you can work on taking this series of courses that's outlined on this slide. So if you're early childhood development, you get to decide if you would like to focus on infants and toddlers or whether you would like to focus on preschool and early school age children. So once you've made that decision about what you'd like to focus on, you need to make sure you take these classes in the order that they're listed. Now, I do want to note that everyone who's in early childhood development has to take both 2250 and 2260, but you only have to take one of these, which focus you choose, before you take the next classes after that. So if you're the infant toddler focus, you start with 2250, then you do 2250 and 51 and 81, then you do 2252 and 2282, and then you can do your advanced practicum 5575. If you're early childhood development and you decide to focus on preschool and early school age, you need to get done 2260, then you can do 2261 and 2291, and then 2262 and 2292, and then finally your advanced practicum 5575. If you're child and adolescent development, you need to, after you've done 2240 in your observation methodology class, you need to do 2270 and 75, then you can do 2285 and 86, then you can do 2287, and then you can do 5575. So please do note that these courses are typically offered only one semester out of the year, with the exception of 5575, which is offered both fall and spring. Also, many of these courses are not offered in the summer. So if you miss them during the semester that they're offered during the regular academic year, you will miss them until the next academic year. There won't be the opportunity to pick that class up in the summer. We also don't offer the internship or advanced practicum course in the summer either. So that's one that you need to take during the regular academic year. So it's really important to pay attention to these courses in particular because they can delay your graduation. So I wanted to segue over to talking about some tools that can help you to navigate the degree, to make sure that you are taking the courses when you need to be taking them, helpful tools to be able to plan your schedule each semester. Now that said, these are tools that you can use independently, but I would highly recommend that you go get academic advising every semester You can either meet with your academic advisor that's assigned to you. You'll find that on your My Coyote homepage, or you can do drop-in advising. But, like I said, I would recommend that you go see an academic advisor, but there are a lot of tools that you can use on your own so that you can kind of help make sure that you're on the right track, and then check in with the advisor just to make doubly sure. So first I'm going to talk about ones that are available through the university, some tools to help you, and then I'm going to talk about some tools that are specific to our department. So on the next few slides, I'm going to talk about the university tools, PAWS, roadmaps, MyCap, and Schedule Planner. Hands down, the most important tool to pay attention to is the PAWS report because it's specific to you. So many of the tools that I'm going to talk about are ones that all students can use. They're general tools. They're kind of a, here's what we think that you will want to be doing. Here's the way we typically think that students go through this program. But the only way to know what you've personally taken, what you're currently taking, what you need to take, what AP credit you've gotten, what courses you've transferred in from another university, the only way to tell that and to know what you personally need to do to complete a degree in child, adolescent, and family studies is the PAWS report. So it's really important to learn how to read your PAWS report. An academic advisor can help you to understand how it's set up, what it's saying, so that you can make sure that you understand what it's telling you and what you still need to do. Something else that's really important is that we do have a pre-major. So we've talked about this before. We have a pre-major in our department, and that pre-major requires you to take a set of 4 classes before you can be a full CAFS major. So those 4 classes are Introduction to Child Development, Introduction to Statistics, General Education Math, and General Education English. You cannot earn less than a C in any one of those classes, but you also need to earn at least a 2.5, which means that if you get C's in each one, you'll only have a 2.0. So you have to do better than a C in at least some of them so that you can hit that 2.5 mark, not just the no lower than a C. Once you have completed those 4 classes successfully and gotten the right GPA, then you'll be moved into the full CAFS major. Now, the good news is that being a pre-major doesn't stop you from taking any of the classes that are required for your degree. It's just something that you need to clear before you get to graduation time. But if you're a pre-major, you can still take all of the classes in the major. You can take all of the GE classes that you need. But it is a little bit more difficult to read your PAWS report because a pre-major PAWS only shows your general education and those pre-major classes. It doesn't show everything that you need to do for the CAFS major. So what I would suggest you do while you're still a pre-major so that it's easier to read and understand your PAWS is to run a what if PAWS. And the directions are on the link that I've provided on this slide. So run a what if PAWS, and then it's going to show you everything that you need to take for the full CAFS major so that you understand a little better what you need to be doing while you're waiting to finish those pre-major classes. It also tells at the top of your PAWS what catalog year you are beholden to. So the catalog year is the year that you start the major. It also tells if you have a graduation date that's expected. So there's a lot of important information on your PAWS that's leading you towards being ready to graduate. Another useful tool is roadmaps to graduation. So roadmaps are a suggested pathway through our programs, and they are suggested pathways for first-time freshmen, for transfer students, for students in early childhood development, for students in child and adolescent development, for students who are at the San Bernardino campus, for students who are at the Palm Desert campus. But one thing that I would caution you with the roadmaps is that
The roadmaps are what we think that you need to do, and it gets particularly complicated for transfer students because we're guessing as a transfer student what you've taken at your previous institution and what you still need to do. Even for first-time freshmen, we're guessing because maybe you're coming in with AP credit and you've already got some classes checked off. So the roadmap is if you've done everything or nothing that we think that you've done, and here's what we still think you have left. So it's always important to look at your own pause report first and see what you personally need to do, and then look at the roadmaps. Look and see where we suggest that you take classes, but only look at the ones that you actually need for your own personal pause report. Again, you have to be kind of cautious with the roadmaps because if you just follow the roadmaps, you could be taking courses that you've already taken. You could be missing courses that we thought that you've taken but you haven't taken yet. So you always want to pair the roadmap with your own personal pause, otherwise it could get you off track. Another important thing to note is that the roadmaps assume that you're going to take a certain number of courses each semester. You may want to take more courses than that. You may want to take fewer courses than that. If you take more courses than suggested, you might get done faster. But you've got to remember that some courses are only offered certain semesters, so you've got to watch out for those, and those will be listed on the roadmap. You also may want to take fewer courses, fewer units each semester, which means it might take you a little bit longer. So maybe you'll be here an extra semester or two. Maybe you'll need to go to summer school to make up those courses that you didn't take during the academic year. But that's really up to you and what your own personal capacity is. So what your time is, the time you have available for school, whether you have work or family obligations, whether you can only commute on certain days, whether just personally taking a certain number of units, more or less is better for you and the way that you study and do best in school. But, do remember that this is just our suggestion of a way to get through all these classes. How you personally move through is, again, going to depend on your own personal circumstances and what you need to do as reflected on your own pause report.
There are a couple of other tools that you have available to you when planning your schedule. So one is called MyCap. MyCap is a place where you can plan what you think that you are going to take each semester while you're at the university. This doesn't mean that this will be exactly what you're going to take. This is just a plan. It helps you to think about not just a particular semester, but across the semesters, what should I potentially be taking when? Now, it's important to remember that even though you set this plan out, perhaps a course isn't actually offered in the semester that you thought that it was going to be when you planned to take it. Maybe it's already full by the time you have the opportunity to register. Maybe it doesn't fit in with your schedule, or it overlaps with another class that you need. So there's a variety of reasons why you might not be able to actualize the plan that you've created, but it's a good idea to sit down and think about what you might take when, so that when you're moving through the program and you're registering for classes each semester, you have an idea of what you're planning to take when and what is sort of a logical progression of finishing the degree. So MyCap can be a helpful planning tool. It's not 100% set in stone, but it's definitely a tool that you can use to help you think about how to progress through the degree. Another thing that you can use is a tool called Schedule Planner. So Schedule Planner helps you to plan each semester. So when you're thinking about what you're going to take for a semester, you can drop things into this schedule planner to make sure that things don't overlap with each other, to make sure that it's a good solid schedule that's going to work. That way, when you go to enroll, you will get a specific time each semester, and you will find this in your student center. So each semester, your student center is going to pop up with your personal enrollment date and time, and you're going to need to go onto My Coyote during that time on that day and get registered for your classes. So classes go quick at the university. It's a big university with a lot of students, so it's important to do your planning work ahead of time, to think about what classes you're planning to take, to use that schedule planner, to have a couple alternative schedules ready to go, just in case the classes that you're planning to take are already full by the time that you get to them. Do your homework, check those prerequisites in the catalog ahead of time, right? So make sure that you have the proper prerequisites, that courses don't overlap with each other, that you've got a good solid plan. And the schedule planner can help you with that, so that when you sit down to register at your time, you can either quickly get the classes that you've already planned out, or you can quickly move over to one of your backup plans so you get the courses that you need and you have a full load for this semester. So these are some tricks to help make your time at the university go more smoothly in getting all your courses done, and your registration for each particular semester to go more smoothly as well. So the schedule planner, you simply use that link that I've provided in the middle of this page. That takes you straight to the schedule planner. To get to your personal pause and MyCap, so the links that I gave on this slide related to MyCap and pause don't take you to your personal pause and MyCap abilities, but you can find those personally for you if you follow the instructions that I've given on this slide. So first you're going to log into My Coyote. Then you're going to click on the Student Center tile that you'll see on your My Coyote page. Once you get to the Student Center, look for this second box kind of in the middle of the page, and you're going to click on Pause. You can see that's the second from the last thing to click on. Once you get into your Pause section, you'll see towards the upper left of the screen, you'll see this spot where you can either click on Pause or you can click on MyCap. And that will take you directly to your own personal pause and your MyCaps. Now the roadmaps, we're going to talk about those more in a minute, but that link will take you to all the roadmaps for the whole university, and I'll talk about that more on the next slides. But that's how you get to your personal pause and your personal MyCap.
So our department website also provides some things that we believe will be helpful to you when planning what you want to take and not take. So as mentioned previously, we give information about the core classes and the major requirements that you need to take, but we also have some advising related tools that can be additionally helpful. So we provide a tentative 2-year course plan that tells you what we offer during the fall and the spring and generally in summer, and that goes out for 2 years so that you can effectively plan a couple years out. That will also help you to use that MyCap and that schedule planner. We give a list of all of our courses and if they've had any previous numbers. So we have changed the way we do things a couple times. We were human development once a long time ago. Then we became child development. Then we became child, adolescent, and family studies. We were quarters and now we're semesters. We were in the Department of Psychology and now we have our own department. So we like to make sure that if you've been around for a while, you know what you're going to be looking for in terms of course names and numbers, etc. So you know what aligns with each other. So we also have a tab that talks about those sequenced courses. Those ones that I was talking about earlier that only happen once a year have to be taken in a certain order before you can do your internship or your advanced practicum course. And there's more information on the website than I gave in this talk so that you can also see how the lab courses work, how advanced practicum works, how you find your placement sites, etc. So as I mentioned previously, it's super important to get advising. You do not want to not have advising. It's just a way to end up missing things and not being on time for graduation. And, why not get help when help is available? So for planning your schedule each semester, academic advising is the best place to go. That's what they are specifically there for. If you want to talk with us about careers, graduate school, how you're doing in your classes, those kinds of things, it's best to talk with faculty. So you can reach out to our full-time faculty or our part-time faculty. They have office hours, or you can make an appointment with them. It's important to know too, office hours are just a time when faculty are available. And the office hours list is in our course documents related to the academic advising appointment assignment, so it's easy to find that information both on the website and within this course. You can also always reach out to me. I am happy to help with any of the things that have been listed above. I do ask that you go to an academic advisor first to talk about your schedule, and then if you have concerns or questions after you've met with them, please do reach out to me. I'm happy to give you any information, advice, or help that I can. I can also talk with you about graduate school and classes and all the other things that faculty can as well. Another way to get advising related information is to go to the open advising sessions that I host every semester. So every semester on Thursday from 12 to 1, 3 times out of the semester, so not every Thursday, just 3 Thursdays from 12 to 1 through Zoom, you can drop in and do advising with me. So if you have any advising questions, that's a good time to do that. You're also welcome to come to my office hours as well. And you can find out about those advising sessions. They will be listed in the emails that I sent out monthly. I will let folks know on Remind, so those text messages that you can get, they'll be posted on Instagram. And then if you go to the home page on our CAFS department website, you can find the link for those sessions under upcoming events.